Bringing your drone on vacation can be a bit stressful. You don't want to break any rules and get in trouble, but it can also be a great opportunity to capture some awesome footage from a new location. Now, I recently went on vacation to Mexico, Cancun to be more specific, and well, I did end up bringing my drone and was able to capture some really good footage. But it did come at a cost, to the tune of about $150 US. Now, despite doing some research prior to my trip, I was still caught by surprise. But traveling with my drone isn't something I've done a whole lot, and I certainly haven't been to Mexico with a drone. So I thought I'd make a quick video just to share my experience to help other people be more prepared than myself. Hey everyone, it's Mark with Create and Captivate, and in this video I want to talk a little bit about bringing your drones on vacation and my experience with my Mini 4 Pro in Mexico. So prior to going on vacation, I was doing a bit of research, and I also talked to someone I know that had experience bringing their drone to Mexico. Now, trying to find and read any official rules proved to be quite challenging. The only rules I could find were in Spanish, and documents like that are hard enough to read in English, let alone in a language you don't even speak. But I did come across a YouTube video where this guy talks a little bit about the rules and included a link to them in his description. So that's how I actually found the rules. I did try reading them using Google Lens to translate, but like I said before, these aren't easy documents to read. However, from what I've seen, the rules around safety and airspace appeared to be quite typical, but I was looking for information more around registration. I had heard you can't fly a drone unless it's registered, but you have to be a Mexican citizen to register the drone. So going back to that YouTube video, I think the guy was basically saying registration only applies to drones over 250 grams. So if that's the case, then I should be able to legally fly my Mini 4 Pro. Now, I'm not sure if that's specifically what the rules state, but like I said, I'd also talked to someone that had brought their drone to Mexico numerous times, and from their experience, the authorities were quite relaxed when it came to flying drones. Mainly, as long as it's under 250 grams and you're not flying in restricted areas, and obviously not doing anything questionable, then you should be fine. And with that information, I felt pretty comfortable bringing my drone on vacation. One thing I was a bit concerned about was bringing my drone on the plane. From what I was told, the main concern is the batteries, but as long as they're in your carry-on and not in your checked luggage, then it's okay. I had 4 batteries with me, 1 in the drone and 3 in the charger, and pulled everything out when I went through security, and no one said anything. At that point, I thought, great, this is going to be really easy. But what I didn't expect was what would happen when I got to Mexico. Now, all of the research I had done was around the rules for flying my drone, and I didn't get charged for that. In fact, I didn't come across anyone that had any concern about me actually flying my drone. But it was going through customs when I arrived in Mexico. The airport wasn't overly busy, so everyone was getting their bags searched. And when the guy came across my drone, he immediately called another guy over, who I assume was the guy in charge. He grabbed my drone, had a look at it, and asked me how much it cost. He then asked me, how old is it? I really didn't know why he was asking the questions, but I gave him an honest answer. And I told him it cost about $1,000 Canadian, and it's about 6 months old. Now, he did clarify that it was less than a year old. I'm not sure if that made a difference, but the actual conversation was quite limited because he spoke very little English and I can't speak Spanish. Eventually, he ended up translating something on his phone that basically said, I have to pay a tax to bring my drone into the country. So, all right, how much? He then got on his computer, took some more information, then printed something off and handed me this. He pointed out that he had put the value of the drone at $750 US and that I would have to pay a 19% tax on the value of the drone, which came to 2,405 pesos or roughly $150 US. Now at that point, I really had no choice but to pay. I actually did say to the guy, well, I guess I have to pay this? He just kind of nodded and said, sí. So I paid the fee. He then handed me my drone back and told me I was good to go. Now, one thing I did do was put that piece of paper in my drone case. That way, anytime I was out flying, I would have it with me. I figured if someone were to question me, at least that would show I brought my drone into the country legally. So now I know that's something I need to consider if I'm going to bring my drone on vacation. There may be a cost involved. And this did make me wonder, if I had prior knowledge of this, would I still have brought my drone? And in that moment I wasn't sure, but now I would certainly have to say yes. I was able to capture some great footage, and when it came to actually flying my drone, I had no issues. Talking to people in the resort, like the concierge, they basically said, if you go down to the beach, feel free to fly it from there. Now, I was only going to be there for 7 days, and this was a vacation, so I wasn't going to spend the whole time flying my drone. That meant it was important to try and get the most out of each flight, and first that meant picking the right times to fly. Mornings and evenings should always provide great lighting to capture some really cool shots, but it's also important to do a little planning before you take off. Have an idea of what shots you want to capture so you're not just flying around aimlessly. And try introducing some variety. If you just shoot a bunch of wide-angle shots, they're all going to look similar and it gets boring after a while. So change it up. Add some medium and close shots if you can. This is a subject I'm going to cover more in upcoming videos. I think it's so important to be able to foresee opportunities for great shots before you start flying and get distracted by all the other cool stuff you're seeing. And I still find when I'm reviewing my footage, like even after this trip, I realize missed opportunities. But there are ways to seize more of those opportunities, and that's something I'll be covering in future videos. But as far as this video, that's all I've got. So if you're thinking about traveling with your drone, hopefully hearing my experience was helpful. And if you want to learn more about capturing and creating captivating content, then you should check out some of my other videos. And if you're not already subscribed, consider subscribing, and I'll see you on the next one.